This
A/B test
conference will
cases.
now be recorded.
So write a test cases, like a lot of places we know the course when we finish, and then we know all the technical things, and then environment and the course curriculum, and then after that, like I feel it basically, or personally I previous experience, like when we ask the guys or girls, like as a QA, when they write down the test cases, they feel uncomfortable as a first time, because they could not practice at home when actually they got the job. So it is sometimes in the QA roles, sometimes maybe when we go to the job, and then maybe some other people or previously they already written the test cases, sometimes we just only execute those, or sometimes we do automation or some other things we do. But normally when it is coming the new project, brand new project, it need to be a write down the test cases, and then when it is coming to a small team, then that time people cannot communicate each other or get the help. So based on their experience, when the new people got the job as a first time, they feel a lot of a problem, where to start, how they find out the test cases, how they initially start with the template. So those things come on their mind, and then they feel it like uncomfortable. So it is become easy day by day. It is not a usual, like universal truth, any format to write down the test cases, but average, I would say, standard format we will follow. But sometimes based on the company's policy or the application type, or application area, then it depends on, sometimes they are prefer their own templates, they have their own templates we need to follow and write down the all test cases details, like a test ID, scenarios, description, steps, or whatever the test data they need, and then expected actual result. So all we discuss on this today. So how we can standard wise we can write down the test cases, and where we can meet all requirements, and based on the functionalities, how we can write down the test cases. Basically, I would start, like mostly when we work, we need to work mostly on web application. So depends on the web application, you already knows, we have a lot of like application area. Suppose like on banking area, or it could be a health insurance or insurance company, or it could be a payment option like a PayPal, or some other retail user. So application could be, or sometimes it could be a pharmaceutical companies. So a lot of companies, lot of business area it has. And then if we know the functionality, then we can practice, we can write down easily. So the test case is the document for we can say for what is the test case, so how we can write down. So when we start, like what is test case, so anybody can have idea like what is the test case. We already heard that, like we know Sangam also taking some classes for automation, and then he gave us some um, uh, basic tutorial, like how what is the test cases it would be, or what is the test case or test scenario. So, or some people we already knows, maybe they already work, they already knows. So do you guys anybody's knows like what is the test case, it could be what is the action, how can we isolate the functionalities, break down, and then write down the particular features or functionality for as a test document. Do you have guys any idea, or like anything you want to say, you can share, or I can proceed. Hayat, do you know any idea test cases? You had already, right? What is the test cases? So Basically, a test case is, I would say, is a set of action execute to verify a particular feature, right? So where the software or web application? Software means web application also software, right? We can say generally it could be hardware or software or web application or desktop application, anything. Okay, so based on that, today we wanted to consider like how to write down the scenarios or functionalities it may possible. So as an example, first everybody is starting with login functionality is easier to understand or start with. So I would say, yeah, the small functionality everybody knows that functionality we use every time. We have email account, we have Facebook, we have a bank account, so every time we use this functionality. So based on that functionality, like if we want to break down what is the test case it would be. So the scenario is, I would say, a scenario is like what is the scenario and test cases. So scenario, in the meantime, we can say what is the functionality we're gonna use. So scenario is a testing or verify um, log on functionality. So verify logon functionality. This is the scenario. So scenario and test cases, that way the difference is scenario could be one to one relationship, or scenario could be one to many relationship. So what does mean? So what meaning is scenario, I can write down for that. One is to one relationship. Sorry. So that's mean like scenario. Suppose we can say one simple like log off. So log off scenario is when we write down the test cases, there is the only one functionality, or cancel payment. Suppose when we click the cancel, and then it is the one scenarios, and then the test case should be one. It could be one test cases. This I'm saying like it is an example. So when we log off or sign off, then it could be a one functionality you are testing, and then test cases could be a one test case based on the scenarios. But when we do login functionality, it could be a different test cases. Suppose like login could be there is two fields, username and password, we already know. So password field, when we write down the test cases, so different scenarios, suppose like checking the result or entering the values, like only entering username, not the password, or and then try to log on, or wrong password. So yeah, the valid scenario is correct username and correct password. This is the valid scenario. But invalid scenario we also think about, because sometimes we might forgot to username and then password is correct, so logon should be fail, or vice versa, user is correct, password is wrong, and then when we try to enter or click submit, and then password login should be fail, or both are invalid. So that way, and also we could use some validation point based on the functionality. Suppose like it is not the functionality could be suppose the company said the username should be 6 character to 16 characters. So that is the boundary values. You know the boundary values we need to consider, like how we can put it. So invalid, it is data related also. Why it is data related? Because it could be a 5 characters is invalid, it could be 17 characters is invalid. So that is the example I'm saying. So based on the functionality, what is the implemented for the logon function. So there is another scenarios is like they have some criteria for the password, how to create the password. So we already know a lot of business area on banking or other way, they have put some restriction how you create a password. So you somewhere it has some formulas like, okay, it should be a one character is uppercase, and then it could be a one special character like at the rate or exclamatory sign, number sign, or dollar sign, or and sign. So there is a lot of special characters it has. Sometimes they mention it, you need to use, so not all specific. So it has some combination to create those. So based on that, when we write down the test cases, we make sure we are testing properly and we write down the test cases properly, because a lot of times we need to be testing document, because test case is the document of test, how you test, how the test would be, the functionality would be test. So if you write down the proper test case or a good test case, then the quality will be good. So if you miss some functionality, or if you are not writing that test case properly, then a lot of or unwanted bug could be raised or in the production, or they will find out, oh, they will come back to the QA, then how you test, your test was not good, so a lot of bugs is coming onto the production. But whatever you came in, you test or you write down, it was fine on that time, it seems to that time it is working, but maybe some other hidden feature you missed it, and then you did not document, and then the tester did not test properly. So the problem is when we go to the company, and then it is not always happens, you write down your test case and you are executing your own test cases. Sometimes what happens is you write down test cases, and some other candidate or colleague may, or some other team may execute your test cases. So test case should be written that such a way that other people easily can understand. They will not confused what is the steps you written, what is the description you write on that test case table. So it is that the way, like we need to be ensure, like such a way we need to write down, or steps we need to follow, the way we use that software. Suppose where as a tester our role is as an end user, right? So our role is as a QA, I can say. So as a QA, our role is, we already knows, as a end user, right? End user means the normal people in the production, like if we go to the Bank of America or TD Bank, and then we need to log on, so we are user, we are company already tested, and then they implement a lot of features, so we use it. Suppose a lot of features is newly came in, like you can deposit your check by using your mobile, sorry, using your mobile phone. So that functionality is not came in maybe 2 years ago or 6 months ago, newly they introduced, so definitely they test it. But if there is some problem, blank check, or a big amount, or maybe transaction is problem, so a lot of features they test. But if anything is major problem and the transaction is not happening, so they lose money, or the functionality is not getting popular because a lot of buggy. So we need to make sure when we work, our functionality working properly. That is our ultimate goal, to find out as much as way uh, to inspect. Like our job is software, we are inspection, we are doing inspection the software or function or functionality, like that way it is working as expected. So what is the functionality you already know. So people, BRD or business analysts, they will provide us the requirement. Based on the requirement, we will write down the test cases. So sometimes what happens is parallelly you need to write down the test cases based on the functionality, and then the developer also follow the same requirement, they develop it, and then when they deploy from dev environment to QA environment, or it is called QA or SAT environment, or SIT, system integration test, or system acceptance test, there is the environment name. So developer, they use dev environment. So when they deploy it on the QA or SAT or SIT seat, so both all are same environment. It depends on the company, they call it that SAT environment as a QA, seat environment as a QA, or QA environment as a QA. Anyhow, so when they implement, when they introduce new functionality, and then it is ready for test, it is not actually waiting for you writing the test cases. So in the meantime, when they write down or developing their code, in the meantime you will be ready or write down the test cases based on the layout. What it could be, if it is a web application, definitely you have some like features. Definitely you know, so you are already familiar with some web application. What is it has? Web application has some what is the, I can write down here, like web application, definitely. So web application test cases, suppose we are, it is very popular right now, everybody is converting now web application. A lot of people, a lot of companies, they have legacy desktop application, now they are converting to the web application, and they hire a lot of people to for developing and then testing to the existing legacy to new new application. Not the new application, as existing the same application, same functionality, they wanted to convert to desktop to web application. So now everywhere is web. So that way we need to know what is the web application it does, and what is the component. Based on the component, we need to write down the test cases. So common components you already knows. Web application test cases for like for links, right? You already knows links or forms. You already knows a lot of forms, like application form, it could be we need to create a account, that is the form. Also we need to submit some request, then it has a forms. So different kinds of forms we have in the web application. And then also in the form we have what, we have text boxes, right? Well did knows. And then we have a what, we have a buttons, correct? And we have a password field. So password fields, sorry, so password fields. And then what we have drop down box. You already some people knows but maybe some people doesn't know what is the actual called it is. So drop down or drop down list, and then it could be a date field or could be a calendar. It depends on, sometimes date field is a text box, or as a calendar is a another plugins or software plugins, they open the calendar. And then and another one is like pop-up, right? Sometimes it's pop-up message. So pop-up message, you already, like if anything is wrong, then it's pop-up or successful, or some confirmation number when we submit, or maybe transaction when we submit, and then it populate confirmation number maybe in the pop-up message, or something wrong, then the pop-up message could be come. So both, all are like both are things like, okay. Another one is a checkbox, right? Checkbox like okay, what is the I say female or male, it could be a two checkbox. So you are choosing your criteria, like what your gender. And then it could be a radio button, right? So radio button is like is a choice, is a single, we need to select or click that button. So all together is the combination. So all combination are staying on our web application, and then based on the web application, all are our functionality to be tested. So based on that, suppose like when we have a address, then we have proper address text box, and then there is a second category of address like apartment or something, second line we already knows a lot of places it has, and then city name it has, somewhere city name is there, and then there we have state, suppose in the US corresponding, if we say on the USA address, it should be every state should be there. So you can write down the state on the text box, or maybe it has a drop down, all 50 state should be written as a drop down list. Or suppose like what is the which country it is, it could be a country list. And then what is the postal code or zip code, so it could be a text box. So every text box has a different functionality. Suppose like a zip code, it has 5 characters, and only numerical number or only the number it will take or we should enter, not 6 digit or not other alphabet or special character. Or suppose on address we should use alphanumerical, not only the number, because it could be a it must be a combination of number and characters. So that is the field level. We will definitely know the how we write down the field level test cases. So the type of test cases, I would say type of test case or cases. So type of test cases, we have feature level, sorry, and another one is functional level. So feature level and functional level, these are mostly we can isolate it the test cases. So sometimes always remember when you write down the test case, it could be a feature level or it could be a functional level. Suppose functional level is like you are submitting the form, so you need to fill out a lot of information. It could like your first name, your middle name, your last name, your age, your gender, and your address, your phone number, your email address. So this is the basic one. Maybe it could be more details. So when you submit, and then it's coming with the functionals. The which one is create account functionalities. Suppose you already had you knows like Walmart, right? So just 1 second, we can write down there. Walmart.com. So there is the, I would say, okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, I have some bugs there. Okay. So when you come here, and then Walmart page will be populate. You see, this is the simple account creation. This is the first name, last name, email address, and create password. And then when you enter create account, and then the account will be created. So and then so the functionality is create the account, but there is the functionality test cases. So if you write down and the test cases, okay, you can a lot of combination you can write down. So let's see what is the required fields. It is already mentioning here. Suppose you are write down something, your name, and then I'm missing my last name, and then I put it my email address, and then I put some password. So when I hit and then it's populate which one I miss. So I missed the length and I also miss the last name. So it is populating, give you the error message. So when you write down the test cases based on the functionality, so you have the combination, the data which one you put. So every field you can make it every time as a empty, or couple of multiple field could be empty, or multiple field could be a wrong name. So suppose first name, anybody's name should not be 123, and then what they said, please enter a valid first name. How they find out? They find out, they're checking what I'm entering at the time, and then if I enter not alphabet, if I put it number, definitely nobody's name should be a number. So that validation point we need to check. It is called feature level. So feature level, it could be a test cases different. If we write down the test cases for create account, we are not going through the feature level. So feature level, it could be a individual all web application, what we mention it on here. Suppose whatever the link is valid or not, maybe the wrong address, or maybe the link is broken, or link is there, maybe it is not responsive, form is not working. So every boxes or text boxes, so every text box has different functionality. All text box are not same based on our application. So that the way all we need to do is here, all we need to very carefully, we need to check individual all fields. That is called feature level. But functional level is whole point of function. Suppose like login functionality, or send email functionality, or suppose like we wanted to check it like transaction, banking sector, is the transaction is properly going through from account to account. So we have functionalities like need to check. But in the meantime, in the banking sector, if we say, okay, I wanted to check it, the transfer function is working or not, but we need to, before that we need to prerequisite or something based on the feature level, like okay, from account should be more than 0, or it should be minimum payments. Suppose like the lot of banks has minimum, you need to enter, you need to keep your deposit 500 or 100 or something. So it has. And also when you transfer, definitely the transfer money should be greater than your available money, or whatever the available on your current account. So you cannot enter more than your current amount. So if you have a 500, you cannot send someone 600 or 1000 or more than that. So and then the two account should be registered, and from your account you are login, and then from account should be correct. So you are sending someone which doesn't have exist, or account is wrong, account number is wrong, so you get some error message. On the other hand, or you or validation point, the feature wise that is working. But when we normally test those types of functionality, then we need to go through the feature level as well. So some companies they are prefer to first time go through the functional test cases, because they're not worry about to feature level that much. But definitely you need to make on your mind, feature levels also is important, and lot of bugs is there. And then that priority wise, I would say company prefer functional level, because if they have a well resource or big company, if they hire 5 to 10 or 15 QA, definitely they will go through feature level, or if it is a big application. if it is a small application or maybe resource is not big, QA team is small, so that time they prefer end-to-end follow fast, like functional level fast. And in the meantime, functional level, when we test it, definitely data is very important. So when we do the test cases or write down the test cases, definitely we need to go through the test cases whatever we have. So now I would say the format or standard for test cases. So it has some format or a standard. So format of standard test cases. So basically the format when we do, and then suppose normally we can start with the login functionality. So we can say we can create a table on Excel sheet. I would say I can use it. It is better. Normally as a QA tester, we use to repository or create a test cases. Most company they prefer Excel, and some companies, if it is a big or popular tools they use, the tools they use on their end, it is called HPALM. So, or it is called QC, quality center. So it is HP also. QC, it is very old, and then on 2000 I think it's 2009 10 or 11 they switch it to the ALM, QC, quality center, to ALM. And another tool is very popular also nowadays. It is called Rally also. This all are using for repository of test cases. But mostly if they started with, they come with test cases like as a format. So now our ultimate goal is how we can design our test case template. So it is important as a tester, actually start from the scratch. Sometimes they will provide you the template, or sometimes they might say, okay, come with the template, and then you share with your team member or your lead or your manager, or it could be a program manager. Then they could suggest, okay, enter this column. Or it might be sometimes as a practical we know, like suppose we enter 6 to 10 columns now, and then manager or higher management, they wanted to another two columns based on the application needs. They wanted to add on it, so you can add those columns anytime. It could be modifiable, or we can modify it, or we can change it according to the business. Suppose you are proposing some format, and then they said like, okay, we are not going to that details, we are removing something. Or maybe you go to some high level, and then they wanted to keep some more details, so you could add more columns for keep record for that details. So normally, always remember is the first start with the test how we can identify. So definitely when we need to identify the test is test case ID. So it is important. We have some formulas how we can write down the test case ID. Is my personal opinion is always start with TC, and they can easily find out this is the test cases. And then the second one come with as a function name. So which functionality you are function name abbreviation whatever. So function name, so suppose I would say here is a test case ID is TC, and login functionality, it could be a log on. So and then after that 001 or something, any number, any numerical number you can start with. So end up with numerical number. So this numerical number will give you the test case, how many test cases you have. So you might have 999 test cases we can for formula. So suppose like we would say here, so test cases 1, and then test cases 2, test case 3, test case 4, whatever. We'll keep it for, suppose we do have definitely for the logon we create a lot of test cases for that. Sorry, it is not will be happen here. This is one. Okay, so always remember it is depends on your how you assign. So the ID you enter. So why I'm putting this repeating, because of the easy way you need to understand like how much it will be. Or it could be a more. Definitely I'm not saying the login functionality would be only 5, but it could be a more like based on your test cases. And then when we write down, suppose like on say our home page, so we have a lot, every web application has different page. Like when we have a logon page and then we go to the home page, so every home page has a lot of functionality. Maybe transaction is the another page, they maybe account is the another page, maybe FAQ is the another page, or help is the another page. So a lot of page is there. So definitely test case ID should be written such a way, or definitely when we see that ID, then we assume okay, this is the test case about this functionality. So that's the easiest way. Other way, if you write down TC001, TC002, it is also fine, but no, it is not guessing easy way to other people though what is the test case ID and which functionality they are testing. So because that one we can do only on Excel sheet, but if we use Rally or ALM or QC, they automatically when we put the name or description, they automatically generate from the system or from the software. They generate the test cases number from by T or by TC. ALM they started with T, or Rally they started with TC. So it could be like that way. So but when you write down by your own, I will recommend it to you follow that formula, because it is like a standard, and then your definitely your teammate will be happy to see that when you go through that technique. Sometimes maybe on the previous team member they are not putting that way. So like that. So definitely we will continue. Don't start with like 001 again, because it will why I'm saying like that way, you can write down, but it is not the standard, because we need to calculate how many test cases we written. So that's the number should be synchronized. Those so last digit should be started from the end one, the previous functionality. So we end up here on test cases log on 5. So definitely on starting with 6. So that way we so on we will go through, and then it could be a defined as much as we can go through. When you click on the corner, and then you will go by increase by 1, so Excel will increase it. So that way you can go. And then another one, suppose like, okay, it's simple way I can say. I will start with another one. Suppose like sign off or log off, whatever the functionality they said, or sign off, it could be SO. You can put abbreviation also. So suppose like a 014. So that's the way, such a way you need to write down the test case ID. But based on that, you need to go through how can you write down. So suppose for the first one, test case ID, and I don't want to put it here, so we can go through here. So just 1 second. So function end with a numerical number. So and then this is our first column, this is necessary. And then second one is how we find out, how we identify the test cases. So it could be a test scenario name, or test or scenario name. Suppose I will recommend it to you go through the scenario name, and then here test case name. Sometimes lot of company they keep both are same way. They just only keep it test scenario. So test scenario name or test case name. So the way it is when anybody, the way you need to write down the test cases like such a way that when people are reading what you are testing, we can answer for that what we are testing, how we are testing. So what we are testing, right? Such a way test cases should be, I would say, okay, they put it like that way is better. Test case name. I'll go through that one. Test case, test scenario name, or so you already know test scenario name is what? Verify or check. So always start with verify or check this keyword, and then the functionality or function name, I would say function name. So verify what you are verifying. Okay, verify login functionality, or verify transaction functionality, or verify logo functionality. So that's the way the scenario it could be, or scenario could be more elaborate. It is longer. You can write down the test cases as well. So test case, suppose like example, we would say here we did not enter it. Example, verify log on functionality. The test case name. So the test case name will be suppose like check results on entering valid user ID and valid password, right? So this is, it could be the name. So when we enter this text and then check result on entering valid username and password, so that's the expected result. Definitely we will be successfully log on because both are valid. If we enter, so suppose like another test cases, we can definitely put it there on this, like what is the test case name, then we put it there, and then what is the verify log on functionality. So this is we write it there. So just one second, I need to make it one table. This, so okay, anyhow, and then this is all your header column. So header column you need to be modify with little bit bold. You can put it, or I would say make it little bigger to check it. And then this is the Excel format. So you need to know how to manipulate, or some I will take the some other classes also for Excel if you are not if you are new for the test cases. Or if you are new in Excel, then definitely we can go through uh, some basic command or common command, I would say, to manipulate Excel sheet. So this is our check result on entering, and then what is the another one? So I would say that one is the another one. It could be a or what, like check result user ID, valid user ID. So we can say invalid, right? Invalid username and valid password. So it could be a possible to entering. So maybe I could, as of now, I make it little bigger to see it properly on the screen. Sometimes if it is smaller, it is hard to see. So then another one we might take it valid username and invalid password, right? So valid username and invalid password, and then another one, it could be a invalid. So I'm saying this one is not functional level, it is on feature level, always remember. So that is the another combination, invalid username and invalid password. And sometimes they use, suppose not entering an empty, suppose you put some both level is empty or missing information on checking or checking result, entering empty username and password, empty user ID and empty password. So it could be another one, suppose like valid username, empty password, or it could be a empty password, invalid valid username, and then vice versa. So that way we can show going on the feature level. And then I would also say it like how you find out valid or invalid. So valid or invalid is coming for what? For what? With the data, right? Data means definitely we need to go through by based on the functionalities, which data should be entered in our application. So based on so on, the data would be the design wise we need to go through, and then we need to check it, okay, which functionality we can use and which one we don't. So on that scenario, I would say for login username and login password, so user ID, and here is so status, and then this one is password, so it could be another one, so username and ID and the status. You can say like, okay, then another one is a password. Okay, so suppose in our definitely is invalid 1 2 3 4 for the name, but user ID maybe they said 16 to what is the functionality. I might write down here little for clarification. Suppose user name functionality, user name should be between 8 to 16 characters. So when we enter, so it is also allow only, sorry, there is another allow, so also allow special character. Special characters means which one is not A to Z or 0 to 9. So that is, other one is a bracket, parenthesis, first parenthesis, second parenthesis, or all are special characters. It's like you already know. So all are is called special characters. All are called this as a special character. So this is the special characters, or only allow special characters. Here this is the list of this is special characters. Actually only allow underscore or dash, nothing else. Maybe this is the business rules. We cannot use exclamatory sign, or you cannot use at the rate, something like that. So when it's coming as a valid, that's mean you can put such a way ABC underscore and 1 2 3 4 or 1 2 3 5 or whatever, or ABCD. It is like a, now it's 8 or 9 characters is fine. So it is between. But even though if you write down ABC and then underscore and then 1 2 3, that is invalid, right? because why? Because it is not created 8 characters, so it is invalid. Even though the format is fine, but it is invalid. So we need to check it, that based on the functionality, okay, it is correct or wrong. Or only invalid could be, suppose only the number should not be allowed, so it should be a alphanumerical. So and should be alpha numerical. So it should be alpha numerical. So based on that alphanumerical, and not only the number, so they are mentioning this. So based on that, your company's rules or functionality, it could be a 6 characters to 18 characters, or it could be a 8 to 32 characters. It depends on the company function. It is not a standard for every company. It comes from your business requirement document. Always remember, everything whatever you write down the test cases, first we need to before BRD, that is called business, sorry, business requirement documents, right? So business requirement document must be read the functionality. So otherwise you will be unclear how you write down, how possible it is, how many test cases it will be. So I would say that technique to write down the test cases, valid or invalid, for the username, always I follow that technique is, I would say, this is, I will go through on paint. Let me check, let's see, is a technique. So writing the technique of, suppose this is the username, and then this is the password field you have. So always remember, if both it has the valid means equal to 1, and invalid means is it like a 0. We compare. So binary format, it is called binary format, is already, a lot of people already knows binary format is only knows by uh, um, 0 and 1, all machine only reading binary. So suppose valid, this is valid, right? I would say this is valid. So this is 1 and this is 1, and it is easy to mapping. Why I'm going through this, how you find out how many test cases it could be, you are not missing anything. That's the way it is. If you follow this formula, it is easy. So and then what is the next one? So it could be 1 0, and then it could be 0 1, and it could be 0 0, right? So the based on the combination minimum, we have these 4 test cases for writing the 2 functionalities. So which one? This one is both are valid, and one is username valid and password is invalid, and then username is invalid, and next one is the password valid, and both are both level is invalid. So it could be invalid, it's a different way. That is the combination I always follow. And then another one, I would go through, like if we have suppose three fields, it going to be a little bit lengthy. Suppose like if the field is O1 and O2 and O3, whatever, and then this is the technique, is easy to write down. For permutation combination, you already knows that the way we need to write down. So suppose when we go through, I make it little bigger, but okay, let's see. Next one I will go through little smaller, because it's going to be little more. And then what, make it 0, first one, then all are making. Then the second one I keep it the same, second one 0, and then this is 1, then third one is 0 0. So That's 4 things I'm repeating the previous one, right? So but these all keep constant. Then another set we need to follow, this is for 0 0 0, and then 0 1 1 0 1 0 0 1. So what does mean 0 and 1? You might maybe got confused. That's mean 1 I already know is the valid and that one is invalid. So when you write down these types of test cases, the test data should be created such a way that the all valid or invalid data you are entering, and then based on the test case you are writing. So the same test case you might maybe you can write down on the functional level, and then you data driven test it could be, or feature level it could be a testing by defined fields, now valid or invalid individual fields. So that's such a way. So now is 4, this is here is a 4, and another one, another set is 4, so altogether it is coming 8 test cases. So on if we are writing on the 3 fields combination. If so, the thing is like why I'm saying that sometimes it is easy and sometimes easy to follow, sometimes it's not. Suppose like if you have a form, there is a 10 fields, so that formula will we cannot implement because feature level we cannot go through, because if we write down this permutation combination it could be 1,000. So that 1,000 it is not possible to run or write down the test cases that lengthy, or that many test cases. So that way we need to go through, we need to go by functional level. So that's such a way. Okay, come to the point, and then we need to always the test data should be such a we need to create, or suppose like A B C, and then we can put hashtag and then 1 2 3, because this is also invalid, right? Based on our functionality, what we or how we find out this is invalid, because it's already written these 2 character will special character as a underscore or dash will be used only, not the hashtag or other characters. If it is taking, definitely you will raise a defect, and then you mention it on your test data column, what is the you failing for, and then which data you use. So we will come through the second one, the such a way we write down the test case, the way we need to specify which we are testing. So another one is test step. So what is the test step? We'll go through come later, that we already talk about the test data, right? Test data, let's see, test data is important. Let's talk about the test data. So that test data is coming from your valid or invalid one. So which one you put it, which one you don't. So that way if you are making as a username or username and password, definitely you mention it like that way, otherwise people might will got confused. And then the same cell on the Excel sheet, if you want to write down same thing, if you enter it, and then it is going to the second cell. So how you write down in the same cell on your extra data? So definitely you need to go through, double click, and then go to the end, and then alter enter. A lot of people doesn't know, even when I work, and then they are making like such a way, they put a lot of space and then don't use it. So go to the last point, and then when you enter, then you can easily you can write down, and then your password could be valid. So suppose like its password you need to write down the way you need to whatever password you have. So the way it is, you need to mention the test data, which one is username and which one is what is your password. This is coming as a test data. But in the meantime you need to write down the test steps, right? So what is the steps? Steps, always remember whatever we are doing in our regular application. Suppose I would say here, right? So we need to enter a sign up Walmart sign up URL, right? From the browser. So when we go through, then definitely what we are putting, the step one is enter URL, right? So enter URL. So what is the URL? You do you know what is called URL? URL is the address of the web page. So what is the address? Address is https://www.walmart.com/account/sign up. So this is the address we need to enter. So if we go through, and then when we enter here, and then it will pop up the page, create your account page. So it is sign up, or you can say create account page, right? And then we have a lot of fields here, and then first we need to enter, and then we need to enter the first name. Suppose I am putting my first name, and then same thing, whatever you are doing on your page, every click, every like a keyboard action or mouse action, I would say like that way, you need to definitely you need to enter it, or you need to document it. I would say enter first name, right? And then third is enter last name, and then the other one. So based on that, and then it is email address, right? So email address and then password. So the such a way, I'm based on like a Walmart I'm putting. So definitely you need to go through your URL, right? So URL should be like that. So you entering your URL, and then people will know which URL. Because why? Sometimes you need to document it, because you might use different environment. Suppose on the set event you are using, maybe every quarter their port number or their URL got changed slightly, little change. So on our project, personally we have 4 release per year. So every 3 months we have a different release. So all are here. Suppose this is the URL for the first release. So I would say release 1, uh, release 1, and then that is the suppose they do have this port number. Maybe Walmart is not using, because it is production. So when you use on your testing environment, maybe they might have like that port number and then account, it is working. And then the second release, they wanted to keep it, sorry about that, where it goes. Okay, this is the second one. If we use, maybe we can use the another one. So we might use the release. So this is second release, this is third release, this is your fourth release. And then you are going through the 20, you are not creating by yourself. So it should come from your so URL should come from who? Can you tell me? Developer, right? Because it is developer. Why we are keeping this? It is based on, I'm saying it should be a static, but it could be a release wise you have a defined URL. Because sometimes what happens is the existing functionality, when you check on your current URL, on suppose you are working on April, maybe they are using on second release, and then the first release you already test, but the second release when you when you retest or regression test you are going on, then you saw some old functionality is not working properly. Then immediately your manager, when you inform or you lead, and then they will tell you, okay, can you try to fast release, what is the it is working or not. We know already, we already tested, but make sure it is we we test it properly, or it is not an issue on first release, and then when you retest and then you find out it is working fine. So that's mean the new functionality, when they introduce, it's break the old functionality. So that's why the same steps you are writing, same test case you ran, but it is failed based on the URL. So that's why they keep it the URL as a unique, and then the server is also defined. They are not modifying. So it is companies to company. So I also work on one company. They never use the release. They just deploy it every month, and then they use it as a set environment in the unique, only set. No, there is no set 1 2 3 or 4, not like that. So it could be static, it is depends on, but better to have to document it, how you document. So here I'm using this because it is in production URL you are entering, but when you use your set, definitely you are using your set environment. Because why, when you using your set in environment, the test result would be there, and then they will know, oh okay, which URL you use, which test you use, because the same test case could be shareable with on your production, on your stage, business people could be run, or your developer could go through and run the same functionality, same test steps on their environment. So the URL would be different than from you. So that's why we need to write down all steps to document it. That is the ultimate goal. So that's why we try to keep everything to get on our document list. Anyhow, this is the URL we put, username and password we enter, we copy, we follow that. And then another one is important is test, that is, this one is our expected results, right? So what is the expected result? Expected result is login should be successful, right? So login should be successful. So when you put successful valid username and password, we should, but in that case the other one should not be, login should be unsuccessful, right? This is for the second one. So second one, we need to use the same way we can use, and then come with what we said, invalid username and password. Suppose what we can do, we can make it invalid, right? And valid password. So password is valid is fine, one capital and the numeric, alphanumeric. If they need to use must special character, definitely need to follow, but here they did not mention it, so that's why you keep it like that way. And then another one is, when you always remember, you need to go through, this is the minimum steps, and then another one is actual result. So actual result is what? Actual result is when you run the test case, that result should be populate or written. Oh okay, yes, successfully log on, successful log on is pass, right? So what is the pass, what is the result? Is status. Status could be pass or fail, right? It is depends on, suppose if you are entering that is pass, that is also invalid, that is also pass, right? Suppose you are getting unsuccessful, if you are getting with your invalid username and valid password, and then if you are successfully login, that's mean it is failed. But if you are entering a username is invalid, and then the expected result is should not be successful, or if we go through our page on here, username and not username and password, here is a first name and last name, actually we make it wrong example, but also for that for the sign one we can go through. But let's see how it is works. So go through first functionality login, and then next class we will go a little bit more and more deeper how we can consolidate our existing knowledge or not after that. So that should be always remember, when you write down the test cases, always it will be empty. And also always remember is, suppose you are writing a test cases here and then you finish for the first iteration, and then some other page is coming by home page done, and then account page is there. So some account page when it is introduced, and then definitely the existing one you need to rerun, maybe whole things you need to rerun. Then whatever you have the actual result you need to remove and then run it. So it could be run date could be added, so I did not put it yet here. So a lot of other fields will go through, but minimum this is the header you need to follow, this is the format we need to follow. And then after that, another important one is, sometimes we need to put some comments, suppose why it is failing or what is the obstacle you put. Sometimes you can put as a status as a blocked. So status, how much how many status it could be. Suppose like the status wise I would say status would be a pass, it should be a fail, and then it could be a blocked, right? Hello. So so suppose like there is another status, it is it could be a what we can say is past verification, or waiting for wait for retest. Status is waiting for retest, or some other obstacle. Suppose your environment is not available, right? When you enter the URL, the page is not loading. So that time you cannot put as a fail, because you did not test it, it is not breaking any functionality, right? But the based on the functionality, when you check, you are not able to see that page. So that's mean the whole page or sign up page is not available. So that time definitely it is blocking you, correct? So when it is blocked, that's mean you cannot write it. So that's the things we need to put over here. And then what is the comments? So the comments is like comments or remarks, whatever. A lot of people there said like remarks as well. You can put it like whatever the obstacle you face. If there is anything special, special things, special note you need to put for review for the developer or your manager, based on the fail, why it is failing, and then what step it's got failed. Suppose like you have a steps is a lot of steps, like 5 6 7 steps you might have. So on the third step it got failed, so you can mention it here. Okay, when I enter here, on the third step is got failed, and screenshot is there. So always you need to enter as a screenshot. So if you are using when it is fail, it is important, because most companies concerned about your test cases, why it is failing. So you need to be a good example. Or suppose like you are putting something and then you are click you click something and then you got some error message unnecessary, and then you can put as a screenshot. So how in the a lot of people they know sniping tool, it is built in with the Windows. So when you come and then you can make a screenshot about like the error message or pop-up error message you want to introduce, and then you can use it. And then based on that you can make it highlighted which area it's got failed. Suppose this is this example, so it is not a fail but it is expected, but I'm showing you here like how you can enter it. So suppose okay, this is the test case ID, you can enter it. Suppose you can put issue this is the issue, and then you can put it the okay, this is the test case, and then this is the ID. And then what is the ID? Just suppose like 00 number 2 is failed, and then you control V or copy and paste. So that way, when they review, oh, why it is failing, and then they will come with, okay, why it is failed. So you have a screenshot, so you just mention it, a screenshot in attach, or find the screenshot. So suppose like that way, or check the screenshot. So that way you can mention it like, oh, okay, you have a screenshot over there, and then they will come through, and then they'll go through, because it is going on and so on. So that's the way you need to write down the test cases. The way it is when you write down all applications, and then the steps I need to go through, how you write down the test cases or test steps. Suppose I will give you the another example, how you test cases. This is, I would say, this is learning purpose. I will keep it like that way. We can put it, sorry, control Z, I'm not using this. This is test case practice on it. Okay, and then I would say the same functionality I will use. Okay, control C, I'm going to the new tab, and then control V, we use it, no problem. And then another example, we will say how we can write down another columns. It is maybe based on your company needs. Maybe they need to enter as a prerequisite. It is also sometimes is handy, prerequisite, your what is called as a precondition, prerequisite or precondition, we can write down. So precondition means for the test case run, what you need to do. So it is overlap. We can go to select the cell, and then go to home, and then wrap text. A lot of people you already knows, don't get annoyed. Some people doesn't know really, and they are new. So for them, I just inform that one is need to be noticed. Sometimes they need to know what it is. So every corner, if you feel it is not properly filled up, and then on the corner, when the icon is come as a state, and then the corner double click, it automatically resize. See, can you anyhow. So for example, this is the why we need a precondition. So precondition is the way it is, we can easily avoid the repetition. So precondition is avoiding in the so what is that? Avoid the, don't write down here, I will actually precondition put it here. I don't want to make it write down on here. So precondition, so reduce repetition, not repetition, of reduce repetition of the steps, right? So what does mean steps? Sometimes we are write down the same steps from the beginning. Suppose you are going through, enter URL, enter first name, enter last name for the create account, right? And then you go through 4 is enter last name, enter email, right? Enter email, and then what you enter 5 is password, and then 6 is click create button, right? So create account button, so click account button. Suppose like I'm going through here, click, you can say account button or create button, create account. So same thing, same functionality you need to use, the same level. I would say this is the button level, right? So always try to write down the same way. How then people will know what you are talking about. So click create account. So this is the steps for create account, right? And then based on that you are putting the enter username and password, so not username and password. Based on that, I'm not going through this. That is like first name as username, user, enter user first name, and then go through this user last name or whatever you want, and then I put it this, and then email address is Hassel, and then @gmail.com, whatever, and then password is there. This is the data is done, and then create account should be successful, right? And then it is passed. So again, suppose like the second one, did you see here you mentioned it, suppose the same create account you are unchecking. This is the by default it is checking. So sign me login, uncheck if using a public device. So suppose like they do have here, and then before that they have a link, right? And then they have a email address checkbox. So for create account, so you log me in, that's mean it will create a account and automatically it will go to your Walmart as a sign in. If you are not checkbox, and then what will happen, it will not give you the sign in option, or you will not see you as a sign in. So that one if you want to use, then definitely you need to checkbox that one, and then there is the another steps if you validate this. So same way another test cases if you write down here, and then what will happen, then you can just easily copy paste and then make it as a 2, and then verify uh, verify, actually this one is for when create account functionality, then you are using the same. So Control C, Control V, so this is the same as it is, or you can make it format later. Okay, so that is the precondition. Sorry, what I'm doing, I did not try to use it. What? Test cases, create account with all valid fields, right? So you don't need to mention which field. It is depends on all valid fields, and create account all valid fields. So this is suppose create account with valid fields and invalid. Suppose valid fields you can mention it here, and then or you can put it like don't make it like that way, create account with last name empty. Okay, this should be definitely through the arrow. You cannot keep it empty fields or invalid, that based on the test data. So that time what you put it, enter, you enter your last name. So you can mention it here. Keep last name empty, the steps. So you need to mention it. So then when the user follow, definitely they will follow like that. So the name should be defined. If it is so, the user creation will be unsuccessful, right? And then the if it is showing, and then it is pass. If it is you are successfully login or create the account, definitely you fail because it is required, right? It is required field. They mention it all stars, all after that it has stars anyhow. So but the thing is, we keep it another test cases for checkbox and uncheckbox. So same way, the way we said, reduce the repetition. Suppose you make it, you so on, you write down, and then another test cases you are validating that that keep functionality. So create account, but also validating that. Suppose like it could be a more than that. Suppose you are more combination you have based on that. So I would say that one is 007 or 08, whatever. Create account functionality is fine, and then create account with uncheck login or keep login, right? Uncheck what? Based on based on that, keep me sign in checkbox. Keep me sign in checkbox. So with uncheck, so when you did, what is the expected result? You should not. So after create an account, user should not be logged on the site, or you can mention it the company's business name. Here is Walmart, you can put it over there as well. So if it is keeping, your result is going to be expected result, pass or fail actual result. When you have it, then you can put it pass what you are having. Okay, then you can copy. If it is the pass, you can copy the same as a okay, it got whatever you got. Create account successfully, success, or you can mention it successfully account created. So successfully create account, not should be create an account successful. Create account successful. So that way your actual result, if it is pass. If it is fail, then definitely you need to mention, oh, account was unsuccessful. If it is unsuccessful, now it is pass, because user, what is the error? Actual result, user got an error and unable to create account, right? So this is the actual result. User got an error and unable to create the account, so it is pass. So when you put this required fields, you did not enter it, so it could be why I'm putting this. It could be another combination. Your first name is missing, because individual field you need to check, because you don't know which one is missing. Don't guessing is like, okay, I'm putting why I'm using last name. Not only the last name, it could be a 4 fields. So you are entering first name, last name, and email address, not password. So you are entering last name, email address, and password, not the first name. You are entering first name and last name only, nothing else. It got the error. So it could be a combination of all of those, and then definitely you need to check it because it is all are required fields. So that required fields should be check it individually, and then you can got it. Oh, okay, and maybe that one is not here, everything is become red. maybe when they check, definitely they don't have it the color. Maybe they their expected result is it should be a red color, so definitely you need to mention it, or you need to check it, and then before that it has a circle exclamatory sign, or maybe it could be another sign. We don't know. So user, it is based on the functionality, user need to know which one is missing or which one is not, right? So you see here automatically it's gone, and then when we started writing, it is keep validating. When they find out, you see it is gone. That is the functionality. So when you put it suppose like 123 .com invalid user, invalid email address, so it is validating on the field level. Even though before you click create account, it is validating field level. So that's the way you need to check it how it is. So definitely that functionality they implement, so you need to check it that way. Then my password is fine if I put 1 2 3 4 5 6, now it is gone. If I remove it and 5 digit, now it is saying 6 to 12 characters, but I only use number. So business is their business is number is on allow. If their business is only okay, it should be a alphanumeric and with what is called with capital letter, or one capital letter should be must enter. So that is the business rules will say to you and then inform to you how you can enter it. So it has the field level validation. So sometimes a lot of functionality you will see, you enter it here wrong thing, and then when you create, after that it will give you the error message, not previously, because it is not the field level, it has the function level. A function level means suppose when you create account, that function, and then they find out which one is required, which one is optional, and then based on that they throw the error message. Okay, you are missing that, you are missing that. A lot of places you will see, if there is a big form and then you are keep writing something, and then you might forgot some fields because you don't know it is must or optional, it is not declared properly on the end, and then when you click continue, and then they give you the error message, oh that field you missed. So why you missed? Because you don't have enough information as a user, like which one is optional and which one is um, uh, like required. So that's the way when we write down the test cases and when we play, and then we need to document it as a, it is a lengthy process. It is like that's why I'm saying a lot of places we need to write down the test cases in such a way, so to put it. But I would say how much is the operation should be check it. Suppose like you are checking login or not. Suppose here why I'm putting the precondition. So I'm going through some other. So suppose you create successfully and then log off button, right? So log suppose TC and then sign out or log off. Log off. Suppose we have 110 0110, suppose whatever we have, maybe in the between we have another one. So just keep it. Definitely it should be synchronized, but for the time being I did not write down the all test cases. Just to go through, I wanted to tell you like what is the precondition is coming from and useful in that case. So what is the verification? Verify, right? Verify log of functionality. So log of functionality. So user verify, you can see. So always use it test case name. I already mentioned it here. Verify, right? You forgot or not? Verify or verify create account with this. Always start with verify word or check word. I already mentioned it. That's the easiest way to write down or start with. And then after that, you can start with verify or check whatever you feel better, or whatever you feel it the proper way. Start the test cases. So it is my recommendation. It is not universal. It could be without verify or checking. It could be the function name properly. It is possible. It is here we are writing the document for ultimate goal is not correction the how we write down, or how we write down the steps, or how we write down the proper English. It is the ultimate goal is it is understandable with other people and as well you. When you goal is like the test or our function is working properly as expected. Is there any problem, is there any bugs or issues or defect or whatever we called, we can find out or not based on our requirements documents. So anyhow, so verify uh, log of function. So verify log of function, and then what is the steps? So do you think we need to enter it like suppose here we are going through all our create account, and then another test cases we have verify logon functionality. So we have like enter URL and enter username and password. We have it right. So based on the logon functionalities, do you think we need to log on successfully and then we can check it, right? So based on that, so here we can mention it. So I put it 1 2, it depends on the, just wanted to keep it separate anyhow. So verify log of functionality. What is the precondition? Do you think the steps we need to write down like text steps? So like for logon functionality, enter URL, then going to enter user name, then 3 enter password, and then enter click, sorry, 4 click login, then 5 click log off, right? When we log in, then log off button will be available, otherwise log off button should not be displayed. Suppose I'm logging here, and then it has on my account on my picture, this is Google functionalities, the under the account Google account, then the name and then email address should be pop up, and then another pop up will shows or displayed, and then there is a add account or sign off button is there. So if we need to sign out, then we need to, suppose we need to log in, otherwise this page or this function should not, or this pop-up should not be displayed without proper successful logon. When we log on, then we can see this. So what is the steps here? We need to write down this here, but the thing is, do you think we have already the test cases for log on? Definitely we do have. Then what we are doing here, the four things we are doing here as a what, as a like this is repeat, all are repetition that need to be removed, because suppose here we don't have it as of now, but when you write down, definitely we have the test cases separate for logon, for login functionality we have it here. and then this is the different pages is okay, but we have the combination. Suppose how we enter it, like login invalid or valid, and login all combination, valid invalid combination, empty, like how many test cases you have, and then you click the logon button, the steps should be there, like and then 4 is click log on button, and then you successfully log on should be successful. That is the case. But for the sign out, do you think we are repeating? That's why the precondition is important. So precondition, we can say successfully log on. So successfully log on, or user need user need to successfully log on. User need to successfully log on. That's mean we can easily remove this, and then what will happen? Then the steps should be removed, then it should be 1. That way we can repeat, because what happens is, suppose like you are going through on this page, on my email there is a compose, right? You are going through the compose functionality, and then what you need to the to address, you need to put a subject, you need to put the body, and then you click the send button, and then in that steps for sending the email, what you need to do, you need to successfully log in, you need to click the compose, and then go to the new message page, pop-up page, and then enter a valid username, valid email address, and then put the subject, and then put some body, and then you click the send. There is the some attachment is optional, so you can design bold or not, whatever it you can change it, you can attach or insert some photos anyhow, but the required field is the to field, right? Or subject, or body, something without body maybe it's not allowing. So that way when we wanted to check send functionality, so what is the steps? Login should be successful, and then click compose, then go to new message, then steps is enter to field, a valid email address, and then enter subject on subject field, then enter message on the body, and then hit or click send button. So this is the send button, and then successfully email should be go through, right? So this is the send button functionality we can check. But if we use anything, okay, check the inbox, you can attach, you can see the attachment or not, check the another functionality, delete function, you need to always log in and then go back, and then you need to check that, and then go to the delete button, delete functionalities, and then you need to check how it is delete functionalities working or not. Maybe there is some move to button, so move to button is showing when you select, you see it is now here is no display. So what is the steps? So you need to successfully log on, and then on the Gmail page will be pop up, and you need to validate, right? Your username should be there, to make sure your credential is there, and then select the deleted or selected email address, which one you want to delete, or desired email address, select the deleted desired email address. So that's the way you can say. So you will select here, and that time the functionality, another menu, this is the menu, it will pop up, and then you can move or delete, or whatever the report as a spam. So all are different functionalities. Every individual functionalities you need to write down, you need to target, like which one. Okay, move functionalities steps is login successfully, go to email list, and then select the email address, which one you want to move, and then click move to. So I will recommend it to you, go through that, and then try to write down the test cases based on Gmail, or based on Walmart, create account, or sign up, or other account, or based by whatever you like. Just write down the same format as much as you can write down, and then send me back send me back to on my email, and then I will review, and then we can talk. So don't take it lightly, because it is lengthy, it is time consuming. But as much I would say, if you go through 4 or 5 website, and then properly you can write down, or you can take any booking account like tip OER, whatever, CHEOER, right? uh, lot of website is there on the market. Anyone you can do, orbits.com, hotels.com, pipelines.com, and kayaks.com, a lot of things. So what is the happens? Yeah, you can validate search functionality based on that field. You can validate based on that from field. So you can check it, like there is a lot of options is there. Just go through one point, and then web page is nothing but it is a drop down. It has a drop down, it has a button, it has a checkbox, it has radio button, and it has there is a lot of fields, like date button is there, a calendar is there, you see. So based on the functionality, how you can use, so write down properly. And then if you feel though like you are obstacle something, and then you feel it, no, it is not there, you are not writing properly, so we can review, and then that way you will feel it as a confidence. Oh, okay, my test case is now I am perfect. Nobody's perfect here, even though on my project I have been working here as a QA automation senior level. But suppose my manager said to me on the last sprint, can you reproduce, and then I have steps, there is a big steps like 76 steps over there, is a big end-to-end test cases, is retail companies. And then when I go through first 10 steps, and then it seems to me I'm lost. It seems to me I'm experienced guy, but also it seems to me I'm lost. Why? Because some steps is between, some steps is missing, and then they could not review. So it should review by you or a team manager or team lead, and they did not review that time. And then I figured out that one is written on 2011. So that's mean almost is 7 years ago. It's old test cases, legacy test cases is still 7 years, nobody modify it. Because when they use on ALM, they are not allowed to modify when they deploy it by administrator, ALM administrator. They don't want to modification or modification functionality for the testers, because they can only update, they cannot modify. They can we can update our test cases, we cannot modify, because it need to be a permission. We don't have that permission. So anyhow, there's the example I said, and then we need to write down that steps. So I would recommend it to you go through little more. This is the minimum, we'll go through later on. First start with test case ID, and sometimes they can put say, test description as well in the between. But minimum is test case ID should be there, test name should be there, or scenario, both could be there, or even though you can write down one, it is okay. No scenarios or no test cases name. But if you write down the test scenario name, and maybe you have a functionality to one-to-one, that time you can keep. But better to have test case name, because that's the way what you are testing, you need to mention it. And then precondition is optional. It is depends, it is reducing a lot of unnecessary steps, because every time if you go through deep and deep, and then definitely suppose credit functionality you are using, definitely you need to log on, and then go to your payment option, and then go to your credit card, all your personal information and credit information you need to enter. And then every time if you start with from enter URL, enter username, password, click, so it's make you feel it like you are it's feel like a boring. So don't go through unnecessary steps, because on the previous test cases already it's mentioned. So that time you can use as a precondition. That's the way I would say right now, like you can start with, it's better way you can start with. Suppose like test case example, I would go through. suppose test. So we already discussed with the test field, right? Suppose we have another one, test case for drop down. Field level I'm going through. Why? Because it is give you more confidence to write down, and then functional level you can easily go through, but keep practice, just don't ignore it. Who are working, who are taking the class today with me, go through, write down the test cases. Who are able to do later, not able to do that for their time being, then they could not able to join, but they will review the videos. I will recommend that all of you go through the test cases, because as a tester, this is our cream and butter, and that should be done. No, that should be make you confident. Oh, yeah, at least you have no problem with the write down the test cases. And don't be scared. It is like not nothing like it should be a perfect. There is no perfection. Perfection should be based on their requirements, but at least minimum standard we need to be follow. So I would recommend it all people, all tester who will go to next time go to work big reputation companies, they hire you as a experienced. Why? Because they don't want to go through how to write down the test cases. Nobody explain you, okay, write down this way. They already know. So you have a 5-6 years experience, you already knows those steps, and this is your basic things. So even though if you are manual tester or automation tester, it doesn't matter. Automation tester is not like you are coding like all times. Mostly when they hire you, maybe 40% to 60% you will write down the script as a automation, sometimes less than 20%. I also experienced that well too. So what will happen, you need to go to the manual. You need to run a lot of regression, you need to write a lot of test cases, and then a lot of defects need to be the same way. We need to go through another class. Keep continue. I try to share my personal experience, and then when we take the classes, even we try to design the such a way the people, when you go to the job, you don't be scared to write down the test cases, and then you will feel it. And then definitely I will tell you one thing, like when you follow this, give me the example of the test cases. When you write down the test cases, and then we'll review, and then we will correct you. You will make some mistakes, and then from mistake you will learn. And then after that, when you go to write down the test cases, then you will feel it. Some lot of dumb people writing such a way the test cases, and you will feel, oh, what is the junk they put it on their system. But also they're paying for that, because no people are reporting this, or no people acknowledge that, even though it is not a good test. But sometimes some company they review, some manager is going to review test cases. That time you need to be a little bit cautious, write down the proper way. So let's get another way. So we don't have like almost is 10 o'clock. I would say I'll take a couple of another minutes to go through for drop down, and then next we can go through the another fields or another way we can go through. But let's get as much as information I would give you. Okay, so first what is the steps? So what is the validation you need to check? All right. Okay, wait a minute, just 1 second. Just 1 second, my son is calling me, keep calling me. Give me 1 second, 1 second. Okay, so suppose like you are write down the test cases, or you want to validate that drop down box. What need to be considered? So what is the default, right? Default selected value, correct, of dd means like a drop down. Okay, so what is the default value? Suppose if you go here and then this is the adult, this is the drop down, right? But also it is not taking as a 0, it is taking a 1. Did you see? Did you check it? Did you notice? Okay, Baba Hasho. Sorry. So adult, you see, if there is no 0, is adult is by default 1, but other is 0. Other, it has the senior 1 to 3, but adult is 1. So that need to be a that functionality should be checked, right? It is not 0, it should be 1, not 2, not 3. So when we enter the URL on the page, when it is come, all default value will be displayed. So that way we need to check it. Okay, default value, what is the default value? And then definitely second one is sort type. Sorry, sort type. What is the sort type of value? It is depends on. So what is the sort type? Sort type means it is, did you see here, this is the numeric, right? If it is the coach, it is the alphanumeric. It is alphanumeric, but this is not a sort wise, because this is unsorted. Why? Because it's a business rules. Business people, they know. So they say, if it is a sort wise, then the first will be on the top, and then business will be second, and then coach will be third, and then premium will be fourth as a alphanumerical order. But this one is not alphanumerical. They don't want to keep it. Maybe this is the business rules. Then we need to make sure it is working as expected. That's why I'm saying. So don't guess. Always you need to ask, like, okay, do we need to coach is a sort wise we need to enter, or we need to display, or we don't care? If they said, okay, this list should be a sort wise alphanumerical, definitely it is a wrong, it is a bug. If they said no, you don't need to worry about, a list is 4 only, it is fine, then you are fine. We don't need to worry about. And then the default value we have, you see here there is a 3 button, radio button, round trip, one way, and multiple. So which one is selected? One way by default selected, not the other one. So make sure this one is default, that one is not default. This is default is not selected, this is default is selected, this is default is not selected. That way individual field we need to go through. So that way we just come here, and then we need to find out how we can proceed. Okay, and then sorting wise, and then after that is maximum, what? Maximum character, right? Maximum character length display, right or wrong? Yeah, so maximum character display, maximum character display, like there is maybe suppose do you see it is small, but it could be a big list, so maybe something is cut off. So we need to make sure it is all are displaying, and then here is all are displaying, so it is wide. If it is small, something like adult, and then if it is small like that, then it will cut some text, right? So we need to make sure everything is displayed. So when you click, and then it will come. Anyhow, just keep me write down, and then you will definitely will know. But this is the standard. And then what? Maximum number of value without scroll, right? Maximum, sorry, of maximum value of maximum value of list display without scroll bar, right? Maximum so without display. So why it is important? It is also important because, like, suppose if you go back to here, and then suppose, did you see here, it is like 10, it is fine. So we don't have 10 adults. So 10 adults we cannot go we cannot order a ticket, air ticket, because it is restricted. So we cannot this is the business rules, right? So all should be in a single selection. So there is no scroll bar is here. Suppose like first five is displaying, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 need to be scroll down. So lot of places it has. So that one need to be clear. How many list, 5, 7, 10, or there is no scroll bar is there, is entered. So that need to be notify, or that should be a like checkable. Okay, and then another way you can check, should be selected by mouse, right, or should be selected by keyboard. Because sometimes lot of times, like suppose you are selecting your click here, and then now I am entering from my drop down keyboard. This I'm not, my mouse is static here, and then I'm keep going down and up and down, up keys, so I can select, and then when I select, it is also displaying here. You mention it now, one down now is on the top, is displaying where is my mouse, is keep going. So you need to check it. Don't assume. Sometimes when you select, this is not displaying on the top, so you need to, it is select by mouse and select by keyword, both function is working. That need to be checked. So this is the basic one. So did you see, for one check drop down, lot of functionality we need to check it. And then suppose like once it is selected, and then what, user should be to select what, values by keyboard. It could be a problem, it could be possible, right? That could be a valid scenarios. Suppose like you are selecting this, you are here, and then you already select 4, and then after that, did you see I'm moving, even though my mouse is not moving, but ups and down, when I enter in my keyboard, and then it's going down. So it is going down, it's keep moving, right? So we can change. So that is called the after selection, able to select by keyboard. So this is the all the functionalities. Don't assume it's going to be the same upon the requirement. It is depends on, I'm not saying that is going to be all implemented. So definitely you need to check, you need to raise, you can discuss with your requirement. If it is not mentioning on your requirement, definitely you need to bring it on your meeting or scrum meeting, daily scrum meeting. Then okay, user not able to do that, so do you think it is a issue, or it's better to have it? So maybe they said, oh okay, it is out of box, or it is not mentioning on the requirement, we are not considering. If it is mentioning, definitely it is issue. If it is not, definitely they did not mention it details. When you find out this, and then they said, oh, okay, it is user friendly, if they can put that functionality, so definitely they take it, they will take it, your comment as advice. Okay, so they can they may change it, it is possible. So but definitely we need to check like that way. So another way, so lot of things we can check it. And then what, another one is test case for what, this is the another important is text field. Because why I'm going through the fields, because lot of thousands of things, the error is staying on the text field, because it is very very important. On the web page, text field is very important, because the link could be broken, it's not harmful. Button is there, click or not, disable or active, it is two functionalities, or radio button or checkbox, it is clickable or not clickable, or selectable or not selectable, that way. But the text box especially, or drop down, lot of bugs is happens, especially that text field or text box. A lot of people they say it, text field or text box, they would say. So test cases for that feature level, right? And then what we need to check it. So what we need to check is checking or check input what? Maximum, right? Maximum number of characters or what? Numbers. Why characters and numbers? Because you already knows, as a example, I would say, I would say, go through this example. I would say like first name, so it will be characters. First name will be characters. But why I'm putting this silly mistake? Anyhow, and another one is zip code, right? Or phone number or whatever. So number only, right? Or this is characters only. So and that is the way it is. It should be. So that's why input box could be a numeric, input box could be alphanumeric also. Alphanumeric, another way we can say that example, I can say, yes, hello. Like I would say another 5 minutes. I will close by 10:15. Is that fine? 5 minutes, Sabina? Yeah, because the level I just wanted to put the
Yeah,
text.
it's good. 5 minutes is okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Just
okay.
want.
Yeah, I know everybody has the time, family. I know it's tough to make it. Definitely, go through the test case and then bring it the next class, which one you don't understand, and then don't hesitate to question, because we are coming from different what is called different level. Everybody doesn't have the same level of knowledge. We wanted to make it as a QA as a same level. Even though we are coming from the different level, we want to make it as a same level from scratch. So if you are already knows, don't ignore it. If you don't know, if it is helpful, definitely I would say suggest to you go through, finish it. Anyhow, let me finish the text field which one you need to consider. So maximum check input value, definitely same one is minimum value, right? Minimum numbers, minimum number, not the maximum. Definitely minimum number. What is the minimum? Minimum is like, it could be depends on the first name. If we put there is a should be 0 is fine, but if it's a username, suppose username should be or password field, if it is 6 to 16 characters, so minimum, they have a minimum limit. So boundary level analysis, you already know boundary value analysis. Sangam also took the classes, and then he explained as well. Boundary value analysis is important for the text field, if function is implemented there. So boundary value, you know how to put it. So anyhow, that one is example wise. I would say password uh, 6 to 16 characters. So characters or alphanumeric, characters means alphanumerical or special character. Alphanumeric character, right? So that way you can say alphanumeric plus special character if they allow, depends on your functionality. So special character, so that time the boundary values should be what? Boundary value analysis, it should be what? The lower level and uh, low level, and then is high level. So what is the low level is 6, high level is 16. So low level equal to 6 here, and then high level is equal to 16. So how you do the value, boundary value analysis? So that's mean that's mean +1, then value, then -1. That is the way you need to always put it. So this is the rules, right? So this +1 value and minus. So what is there? Boundary value should be. So we need to consider as a 5, 6, 7, and then for the high 15, 16, 17. So that's the things. Then anyhow I go to another one, and then can make sure can you enter or input what special character, right? Special characters. Can you enter a special characters? Then can you uh, copy paste? Can you copy, just copy and paste, right? So sometimes, if I copy from my password and then put into the notepad, and then it is displaying, that is problem, right? So we should not, it is depends on, maybe username or address, it is copy and paste acceptable. Maybe password we cannot allow copy paste functionalities, so it depends on, right? So always you need to be check which field you are using. So the maximum minimum we already knows, and then always is remember clear. So clear means clear, or we can say backspace, and also delete. These two button we make it to modify, right? So it's editable, I would say editable. So what happens is, even though I remember yesterday on my project, it happens like I have a field, and then we have account number, fund, and brokerage account, mutual fund account we have. And then what happens is, when I delete by backspace or modify by backspace, it is working. And then when I select all and delete, and then when we update it, not deleting the original document, original fund number. Suppose I have something on my text field, and then when I update, I wanted to remove as a empty, but it is not taking as empty. So that is the bug, because user not able to delete it. Maybe you can modify, suppose enter your account number 1234, you can modify 1235, now you can modify 1236. But when you want to, it is optional field, but you want to take it out all numbers, and then you want to keep it as empty. And then when I delete 1234, and then I enter or click update button, and what happens is, it's all and came again 1234, and it is not deleting from the front end. And then what happens is, it is not allowing the empty or null field. So lot of times it could be a issue as well. So I never got it. Yesterday I also got it like that way. That is the current example. And also like cut and paste, also copy paste, also cut paste, always you need to put it. And then another one is mouse hover functionality. Mouse hover. So I know I'm a little go over 2 minutes, just give me I'm sorry, just one or two, another one or two. So mouse hover functionality. What is mouse hover functionality? So mouse hover functionality is like when you mouse hover, and then it is showing something. Suppose like, oh, I just forgot, there is not here. Suppose like here, you see user member disabled, it is as a showing there, but it is not a mouse over, it is already displaying. But somewhere when you check it, and then it is showing as a text, as a pop-up text, like that way. So that is called mouse over text. So definitely when you enter, they have information like, oh, what you need to enter. but sometimes you see on this page they don't have it. It's okay. Yeah, if they don't have it, it is fine. But definitely some cases they do have it. I'm not sure Walmart they have or not. I would say like definitely it is here, but somehow it is not. Okay, I will check it. There are a lot of places it has. Anyhow, and after that you can use as a tab order. I would say tab order. What is the tab order? Tab order is like from the keyboard tab. Suppose like I select here and then write down, and then I click from the keyboard the tab key, and then you see last name is got selected, and then the tab again tab, it is go to the next one. So it is going on so on, it is going on so on, and then you see hide, and then I enter by keyboard, it is hide it, so it got selected. Now keep me sign in by keyboard, so I can space and then select. So only everything is by keyboard is selectable, that is tab key. So you need to mention like all are in a same order. Suppose like if there is no option not selecting by tab, you can also raise a defect because it is not allowing to because after password it directly go to create account. They did not go to this checkbox or this to URL. User not able to select by tab. That also consider as a defect if they are saying tab order is, even though function on your business requirement document they did not mention, but this is the common I would say this is the common things. As a tester, as an experienced guy, you already knows what is this. And then there is the cursor. I would say cursor position. What is the cursor position? Suppose you are selecting something, you write down something, and then when you go here and then you deleting, and then you write down something, and then you, on the middle you are deleting something, and then keyboard is, what happens is, suppose I put it here. Now let me make it better. Suppose I put it space, so I wanted to delete the space. I delete and it keep the cursor in the middle. It is not going on the bottom or all the way bottom. Sometimes what happens is when you try to delete something and then the cursor got moved from the position, it going to the even last position or going to the first position. We need to make sure what the business want, because sometimes it's annoying to editing. So that's time you need to make sure the cursor position is working as expected. Suppose like where you delete, where the position is select, the cursor is remaining the same position, because maybe you need to write more. So what happens is if you write down or modify one character and then it happens it move to another position, that should be a problem. And another one is enable and disabled. So what is enabled and disabled? Sometimes sometimes like the text box is that is the such a way is functionalities is there, the previous field, if you don't fill it, and then it's not gonna work. It is not going to activate. Suppose maybe they have some checkbox is there or drop down is there. When you select, then text box is enabled to editing, and then otherwise you cannot edit. So or maybe some security feature, and then you have a payment option, credit card, all information you put it, and then when you go to the next, and if you go back, and then if you see you can able to see all credit card information, and you are able to edit. That is not going to be function, because they don't want to, when you go forward and come back again the previous page, and then you able to see all information. That is also possible. So that way today is the, I would say this is the 10 minimum things for the text field, and this is the drop down list you need to consider as a test case or test data, and as a tester we need to check it. Maybe another more things you need to follow, but at least if you follow these steps for your validation, as a validation point, and then definitely lot of bugs you will find out. Okay, so that's all for today. I would say keep trying to write down the test cases, and then when you have time, just don't hesitate to drop me an email or send me this format. I would say I will give you this this file, and I will give you that class note as well on in the attachment, and then we will talk to the next day. Okay, that's all for today. I would say good night to everyone, and then see you on next class. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night. Thanks again.
Thank you, Russell bhai.
Okay, thanks. হ্যাঁ বাবা আসতেছি, ওয়েট